Hello guys, welcome back. It's Grim Reaper coming at you for another video for Shadows. Welcome back to the channel. We have a guest on our channel, Soul Saint. It's great to have you here, and I'm really happy to have you here. Thank you for joining me. And do you want to introduce yourself and a little bit of what you do within Raidshadowlegends?
Sure. So first off, thank you for having me on your channel. For those of you guys that don't know, I am a content creator, an official raid partner, just like our friend here, Grim. We try to leave a positive influence on the world by being the best way we can be. That's my little shtick that I say. But for the most part, I like to pursue like competitive gaming. So I'm pretty big into live arena, and in particular HYDRA class, since it has a lot of high value for players right now. So those are some of my big focuses, but we do anything ranging from like general account coaching to miscellaneous takeovers for people to really help community members not only improve teams that they've been working on or trying to work on, but help them grow in different ways. So a lot of the stuff that we do is informational, but mostly in particular just trying to have a good time is the main thing. But yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Excellent. So today we're going to bring you the 5 top champions from Mr. Soul Saint and how he has felt that they impact him for P versus E. So Soul Saint, if you want to kick us off with number 5, and we'll work our way through your magical list.
All right, so I am just going to preface this for my entire list. Every single champion that you're going to see here has a special place in my heart, but in particular, I had like extensive use with them over the course of my account, from growing as an early game player all the way up until where I'm at now on my account. So just to give you context, these guys are all someone I've tried and played with, and they're really, really good. Number 5 for me, and I'm going to go in the realm of like what's good. Let's get into the good stuff, you know. Number 5 for me is actually going to be in the Shadowkin department. My favorite aesthetic champion is going to be Mishinaki. He is a magic defensive champion that has so much to offer from various different angles. His A1, it brings an ally. It comes from pretty much a lot of the bulk of his kit, but it brings an HP burn that has a pretty decent chance of landing, and the damage output is pretty significant, especially as you can build up a stronger version of him. His A2, which is another part of his kit that's very, very strong. It's an AoE, attacks all enemies, and it does decreased defense just straight up. But if you also have Hex on the enemies that you're hitting, it has a chance to place the decreased attack as well. So very expansive in terms of being able to apply a lot of debuffs in a lot of scenarios. And then, of course, you're talking about Hex. The A3 brings the Hex along with it, which brings his kit to a lot of synergy, well-rounded out. And it also has a really good features in terms of plug and playing with other Hexers too, so it plays well. And then, not to mention the fact that Hex is out on the board. If someone on your team besides him is hitting the enemies, they're going to go ahead and have a chance for him to join in on attack. So for me, I'm a big comic book fan. This guy reminds me of like someone like Ghost Rider. He's basically like a green Ghost Rider version. It looks really, really cool. And to be honest with you, my community, there was a guaranteed event that came from him, where you had to get like 10,000 Summon Rush points. I don't know if you remember that, Grim.
Yeah. That's how I got mine.
We had to struggle for it. There were so many people, including myself, that dump thousands upon thousands of mystery shards just to get him. And lo and behold, he was one of my top ones. I mean, usable everywhere, from like Clan Boss, which is where I started with him at, and then he eventually made his way to so many different teams. You could think as a Hexer for like Spiders, when you were doing like a lot of enemy max HP, trying to kill the hard Spiderlings, and then on top of that too, where he's one of the most dominant champions is HYDRA. Yeah. That guy's a monster. He hits everything on that one.
He's top 5 DPS in HYDRA, I believe.
For sure. Sure. I think so too. He does it well.
Yeah, I really like him. Like Ghost Rider for me as well was one of my favorite comic book. I'm a bit into the like Marvel and stuff like that, bit of a Marvel fan. Yeah. And Ghost Rider was always, I don't know if you read the Marvel books, but he was always pretty OP. And when they brought him into the comics, into the films and stuff, they had to tone him down a lot. Yeah, and stuff like that.
They do that for all the movies, though, to be honest. They make them all like nerf, but like, yeah, he's actually overpowered.
Yeah. And well, I'm hoping he's going to come into Sin 7 soon. I'm looking forward to that one. Hopefully they do justice. So yeah,
we'll see.
Actually, yeah, for me, I got mine. I actually have 2. I've just recently pulled a dupe recently. I'm not 6-starred yet, but no, I've 6-starred it, but I haven't booked it because I don't really like booking the same champions. But he's definitely going to be one of them that I book I'm not too sure if I use him in Hydra because I have like a Trunda and there's other teams, a Wixwell team, so I have one already. And at the moment, I'm not using him in Hydra because I'm using like Cecilia and stuff like that, which is a bit of a different chemistry. They do the similar jobs and stuff, but it definitely is a fantastic champion. One of my favorite. I didn't have to go and pull the greens. I had all the sacred saved for him, so it was easy, guaranteed, and probably one of the best guaranteed I think raids I've ever done.
I would put my money on it. I'd put
Yeah.
my money and say that was the best. They're never going to do it like that again.
Yeah,
They're never going to do it like that again.
yeah. I actually really liked it because I had really good rewards as well, if I remember correctly, and stuff like that. So I think him, Negma, I think they're like the best two guarantees that I always had at both Hydra Masters as well. So yeah, fantastic champion for sure. And yeah, I agree. And he looks really, really cool. So
the design department never misses when it comes to the graphics in this game, but in particular, you could definitely tell they put love into mission.
Yeah,
for sure.
I actually saw, I think it was a thumbnail or something. I think it's from YST, where his head was to the side, and it
shows the blaze. Oh, it's so good.
It looked badass. So let's be honest. So yeah. Okay. So number 4, Mr. Soulsent.
All right, so this one actually, if you were playing early enough, this one's going to actually be in the demon spawn. Speaking of Sisia as a second, like the area of factions, but for this one in particular, we're going to go to someone that you could have acquired if you were there for the fusion. It was my first ever completed fusion, and it was Helicath. Helicath in particular was one of the champions that I think coming up, I didn't realize the amount of value it was going to bring to the table. This is within like my first 7 months of playing, and for those that play and you're first starting out, rest assured, a lot of content creators, we don't really talk about it, but almost everybody along the way has made some fair share of mistakes. So a lot of course correcting on your account, and one of them was I need to get a clan boss team on the ground. Get to Ultra Nightmare, get top rewards, and this event came up for him to be a fusion, and here's why. One, his A3 literally is the cream of the crop in terms of block damage. I think if we're going for a 2-turn duration block damage, he is by far the best, because not only does he provide block damage for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown when booked, even when it's all over, you get an increased defense. So he's adding value to your team even after that buff is falling off, which is it's fantastic. Then in tandem with that, because of his A2, especially if you speed tune up or if you partially booked it like how mine's is, you could actually do some really cool tunes with him to a point where he is a one-stop shop. A lot of other champions, they require like a specific set of team members to join them. Him by himself, I know the speed's off the bat because it was my first ever clan boss team that I built. 246 speed was all you need, and you could run him along with a couple of DPS, and he would get you to that 50 turn count. Like, block damage for the first 2 AoEs, and then you would shield the stun, and then you go from there and just let it cook. And it expands upon his defensive stat, which is very comparable to that of the likeness of one of the best shielders in the game, which was Valkyrie at the time. Being proportional to his defense just made the shield easy to scale, and it did the job, and then some. And then of course his A1, if you're looking to get damage, we were talking about clan boss in particular. I didn't have that. I had my defense, my decreased defense, which was from FOD bar at the time, funny enough, but I didn't have weakened. So his A1 has a chance to place it, and because of the way his passive works, he's always counterattacking with his base ability as long as block damage is in play. Really good synergy, and it gave me a lot of uptime and being able to not only just get extra counterattack damage, but also be able to like facilitate getting that weekend. And then not only that though, too, from just straight up playing across the board, as time goes by, new content came out. For those that were familiar pre nerf, Iron Twins. He was one of the go-to champions for a block damage comp which seemed to be one of the only ways to be able to beat Iron Twins at the higher stages, unless you had the most extensive champion pool, and everybody was limited, so you had to work what you got, and we made them work. As a matter of fact, I did something on my channel where we built a team, a build that uses Helicath at the same speed for his clan boss team, but also worked in IT, and that was something that I appreciated having Helicath and being able to do with him on that. So top tier champion, looks really cool with like the purple flames, and then lo and behold, as time goes by, he's kind of, come and gone in terms of like value and whatnot. But I do think that like you still see him in some areas like competitively, like in PvP. A lot of people like using him in live arena
Yeah,
because he's just a nuisance. He's just
yeah.
annoying. He
He's
adds more, tacticalness to him.
yeah. I actually hate him more than anyone when it
I
comes to
know.
live arena. Like you should hear my mouth when I see Halekav. Like all the names are coming out of the
Just a
sun.
face drop and everything. It's like, oh my god.
Yeah, I mean,
I
like
feel it.
you don't see him that much now, but he can
Right.
still be a nuisance for sure. And Rhodas, my best friend, when he used to love this guy. So, but when you see a UDK as well, it's like torture. I
Oh,
actually,
the
yeah,
double it hurts.
I actually changed my strategy to start counter Halakath abusers, to get myself to Quintus, right? So I started taking the
Yeah.
UDK and stuff like that to really screw him over. And people still found some ways to try and win it. But
Mm.
this is the good thing about the Barbarian. The only good thing is his days were numbered, so I suppose he's replaced. Actually, I did a competition with a few of the content creators with Blazing, and we did a like clan boss one, and I got demon spawn, right. So I think I finished third or second. I finished second. Someone finished above me. I think it was Muller. Muller finished higher than me, and Muller had man eaters or something like that, and I had Helikath, right. So obviously for me, I use mine in twins still to this day. I'm too lazy to build a new
Really?
one.
Okay.
Yeah, still too lazy to build a new one. So I'm still using there. That's probably the only place I use him. I built him for a clan boss, the 246 team. Use him on void only. He didn't need any cleansers or anything like that, just because he didn't have the decreased speed, and then like again, you're tanking up the
Right.
shields, etc. So yeah, I mean, I was well known for clan boss teams back in the day as well. When I first started my content creation, my first unkillable was budgeting killable, and I used to do like 7 or 8 budgeting killables a week when it comes to takeovers. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say he's got a spot in my heart because of how much pain he brought me when it comes to live arena, but you
The wrong kind of
can't.
spot.
Yeah, but you have to say he looks really cool with like the
Yeah.
art and the flames and stuff like that. And let's be honest, if I had a 6-star blessing on him, I think he'd definitely be backing a lot of teams, because he's actually got really
Really?
good.
Okay.
He's got really good multipliers on his synergy.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
and his A1. I didn't talk about this too.
yeah.
Before all the counters came out to it, but like shields were very prevalent. So his A1, especially when he's counterattacking, gave you a lot of opportunities to just
Mm,
cut through what was used as the meta.
the bolster.
I had a right bolster neck grit was like very dominant. So like you had to find a way to get through and cut into like some supports that or some damage dealers. You were trying to stop them from getting their turn,
Yeah,
and one way to do this just get them out of there, right? And Helicath actually kind of did that a couple of times, and I thought
yeah,
that was pretty.
yeah. Fantastic champion overall, and one of 3 champions with block damage. He's my only champion actually with the block damage for this. I don't have Tawan, I don't have the barbarian, so
Alsgore, yeah.
yeah, yeah. I actually regret not getting him for Curse City. That was how uh for that. So yeah, probably my only one still, and yeah, really cool champion, and like super super. He's definitely still top 30, top 35 when it comes to
Yeah,
champions.
I get that with that. I get that with that. He has a
So
special place in my heart because if it wasn't for him, I would not be playing this game.
yeah, okay, fair enough.
That's how important he was for me.
Player him. Let's do another one, yeah. Uh,
Uh,
let's do a
uh,
mythical version. Anti sheep as
you
well.
give me what you asked. Well, I mean, we got a laws there already, so I don't know. Maybe that.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
You got
you want
Kale's
that?
dad.
I don't know.
You got Kale's dad as well. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so number 3.
Okay, so this one, man, I love her to death. It's in the same faction, believe it or not. I love her to death because she got me very far. Not only from a competitive standpoint in the PvP side, we were talking about shielding and as well as like how do you find yourself in the meta today. It shifted away. She's kind of gotten power crept upon, especially since we're talking about Kale's dad. But Duchess Little 2, she actually hangs in my heart from a PvE perspective. She's still very relevant, especially when we're having conversations about the most recent nerfs with like Iron Twins,
Mhm.
Sand Devils, and even Shoguns. They made them a lot more easier comparable to what they used to be, right? And for her, I think the thing that really sells me for her that her value comes into play, especially for accounts that are progressing up and whatnot. If you get access to a Duchess, you have something very strong in a support carry. She is useful everywhere. There's no other way to say it. From any PVE content, whether that's Hydra, Clan Boss, or if you want to go down to the nooks and crannies of like, Iron Twins or even Dragon, like any form of content that you want to do, there's a place where Duchess can technically facilitate. And she thrives well as a support champion. Being able to base shield, but like veiling, increased attack on her A2, along with block debuffs, which is a very strong buff to have for mitigating, control. But her passive just straight up giving you percentage of mitigation from AoE attacks, which most bosses do. Think Hydra, almost every single ability you get is for the most part pretty much AoE. Think about Dragon, especially even the hard versions of it, it's nothing but just straight AoE. So it's like you got a built-in Defiance set built into her kit, or if you're going in PvP, it's actually even more than that because it's like what 25% there. Very very strong, very very strong to like basically just protect you. And then if the team so happens to get fully wiped, you got a crazy bounce back in our A3 to be able to just revive the team and go again. The only thing that's a bit of a downside for it, I feel like in today's climate, is that because things are progressing so rapidly and in live arena, speed is very dominant. Her ability to bring your team back into the fold and bring it back into the fight is sometimes stunted by the fact that her A3 doesn't have like a turn meter boost with her revive, whereas some of the more newer champions, think like Ancora, even though that's single target, or like Sify, for example, they bring them back almost full turn meter or with something to get them one step closer to their fight. So she hurts a little bit in that regard. But nevertheless, a special place in my heart. She was one of the foundations of my account to be able to do a lot of the various content I did along with Helicaf. So she gets a special nod for me. And of course, she's majestic, floating with their wings, even though she's a little demonic. She's really, really cool, man. Really, really.
Actually pulled 2 this weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, I guess that's good and bad depending on how you look at it.
I didn't pull her on my account. I pulled her on 2 accounts that needed a Duchess. I really wanted a Duchess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a W then. Yeah, let's go.
So the wins, right? One did it in 40 and one did it in like 100 or something. I will pin that video at the end of this. But yeah, for me, massive carry. I actually have a +1 fully awaken, and I have another one just for like lantern rounds. Now, I could empower to +2, but I think it's always good to have 2 Duchess because how good she is over all the content. If you was to start raid again, and for me anyway, if you was to start raid again and you had to pick like 3 legendaries, she's definitely there as one of the first ones for like arena and PvE. I think Risk would definitely, for myself, would be there as well. And yeah, for me, I got her quite early. I got 3 Duchess. I pulled 2 of them on 15x events, which back then were 10x events. One from Ancients, and the other one was from Voids. I think I've pulled at least about 15 Duchess from 15x events.
Really?
Yeah. I've only pulled one on a buy one get one free Sacreds, and I opened 29 Sacreds. The video is somewhere on YouTube. 29
really?
Sacreds.
Wow.
Yeah. That's why I don't
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's why I don't go for the buy one get one free. That was last year.
Man, that's some really rough luck on that one.
Yeah.
Funny enough, my Duchess, I think I got her. I wasn't even prioritizing her like that. There was no events. This is way before progressives became a thing. But I was actually pulling for the sake of completing the fusion for Pytheon, who is like an abbreviated version of her. You can argue semantics the way his passive works and whatnot.
Similar.
But yeah, very, very comparable. And I was actually pulling for him. And if memory serves me correctly, it was around the New Year's time frame when that was happening. And they did like back-to-back summoning events where like it was one of like a 2x for every single shard type. And there was one for Sacred that came up, and I was pulling just to complete the champion chase or the summer rush at the time, or just because it was a 2x. And I grabbed the Duchess. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. We'll take a look at her after. I'm trying to pull for my Python. Everybody's like, forget Python. You got the better version of her of Python. That's Duchess. And I was like, okay, I'll look into it. Next year down the road, I was like, oh, it's actually really good. This is like when I first started in the game, man. She's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, she's still one of my favorite champions. I actually still use mine in live arena quite regularly. I
Really?
still,
Okay.
yeah. Because I use Siggy a lot, so I only have 4
Okay.
mythicals. I have Siggy, so like my first pick really is normally, because I normally tend to go second for some reason, is like Lady M and Sifi, and then I will
Okay.
sometimes, if they pick a Sifi, she's then my next replacement. I've got a 3-piece uh reaction and 6-piece stone
Oh, nice.
skin, and she's around about 133,000 HP, just under 5,000 defense, maybe just a bit over defense, 5,000, and around about 275 speed. With a little bit more
Yeah, that's
room,
best.
yeah, with a little bit more room improvement. Fully awakened sheep, obviously, and stuff like that. So if you ever come across me, you might see her. But yeah, and especially like as well if they take King Narcissus as well, and Queen, then she's definitely a regular one. And then I also still use her in pushing plat and stuff like that because they increase attack and stuff like that. So and I have a
Yeah,
really good build on her, so it makes you want to use her, right?
oh,
Um
the attachment. Oh, that's how I felt about mine. I had to swallow my pride. Like, nope, I got to move on to this champion or that champion. And even then, I still rebuilt her up, so she's always usable if I ever needed her to.
yeah, I mean, I don't pick all the time. Don't get me wrong. She was always one of my
Mm.
first picks, and I do live arena takeovers, right? And I
Okay.
actually did a takeover on JR's account, and his account was really difficult, right? Because you just had King Narcissus come into the meta with Queen. You just had the Barbarian, what's his name? Uh, the Barbarian come into the meta from his fusion, which was completely
Armand.
broke. Yeah, that's him. And then you had like the 2x Mythicals as well. And I only
They
had,
changed the meta.
yeah,
Mythicals for sure, yeah.
they all that happened in one go, really power crept out of the meta so hard.
Mhm.
And all I had on that account was a +4 Rodus, +4 Candy, a fully Awakened in Harmony, a UDK, a Warlord, and a Duchess. That was it. That was,
Hey, and that's how it is with raid, man. You got to make it
yeah.
work. If you got to work what you got, yeah.
And we got to gold 3, we got Quintus, and then we stopped. Didn't want
He
no
was like, all
more.
right, I'm taking a break. Time out.
Yeah. Some days was like 20% win rate. Some days were like, actually on the last day, I think I had like a 90% win rate, which was like
Mm.
super, super hyped. It was a good way to finish. But yeah, place in my heart, fantastic champion. She only had like a 2-star awakening on her as well for that. So that was even more painful.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So Mr. Soul sent number 2. Uh,
Okay, so this one's gonna be a bit of a interesting one because I don't actually have it myself, but I will tell you that amongst all the conversations about like, oh, the best champion of the game that could do everything to some degree, like basically heal or do damage or buff or maybe be a little bit of a disruptor from like debuffing standpoint. And one of the names I'm gonna bring up, it's in the I believe it is Sacred Order, is going to be Cardiel. Cardiel for me is not only a good damage dealer himself. He has some pretty good features in terms of his ability to do it. It's not crazy high, but bringing a heal, bringing an injection with being able to ally attack, which also comes with buffs on his A3, I believe it is. He buffs pretty much what I consider to be like buffs that are good for any type of damage dealer from crit rate and crit damage. And then of course being able to be more protective in a sense with like his A2 as a cleanse, being able to also provide like a revive on death feature. So if things are going to go very south, he can give you a chance to have another life. And then from there, being able to heal every ally by a certain percentage. I don't remember exactly the percentage, but it's a pretty decent amount compared with like that of like the passive of a Sill or maybe even Doom Priest or something around those lines in terms of the amount of heals you get. Very, very strong. And then he partners with one of the ones you say you prefer to work with, which is Sissia. Really, really cool champion. And then you top it all off with the fact that he's got an aura for everything. This guy is a jack of all trades, and he's very solid at all of them. And of course, I love wings. If you see like how my aesthetic is, my brand and all that, y'all know I love the wings. I love the armor. I love the sword and shield. This guy hits it on the nail for everything that screams, yo, this guy's great.
yeah. For myself, I actually do have him, and he's in my brutal team with Cecilia, right? and
Hmm.
he heals like non-stop with Cecia's. He's absolutely nuts, and it's probably the only reasons why Mishy's been dropped, because of the synergy between the two is
I
absolutely
understand.
like
Yeah.
pretty nuts. And otherwise, I wouldn't really like, if I had to pick between Cecilia and Mishy just on their own. Mishy hands down all day long. But when
Okay.
you've got Cardial, it's a whole new ball game, and he's still fantastic in live arena. He's a bit like Dutch's. He's been crept out a little bit, but he was meta for a very long time. Obviously, I've been doing platinum push for about 3 years or so. I'm probably one of the longest serving when it comes to platinum push, and he was always on defense because he was so difficult to deal with. I actually used to use him in offense as well, so immunity. I build him quite a few ways actually. Immunity with high resistance with Krisk in a bolster
Hmm.
or shield
So you'd
set.
be like a Ghost Second Cleanser.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then double
Yeah.
torment, right? Double torment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't have a Hedgie for a long time, so one was a CC, freeze them, and then one was a nuke. And if he gets locked out, guess what? He's still got an ally attack, which is
Hmm.
fantastic. So, yeah, I mean, like Blender as well, was very
Yeah.
powerful back in the day. Again, speed in all battles by 19. I think he's still questionably the strongest ally attack other than, I think, Oak. Um,
Ooh. Okay.
non-legend. Lon, without counting Lady M. Yeah, because she's a whole new
Okay.
breed.
Yeah. Yeah. If we're including mythicals, then that's a little
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
more of a talk.
But when it
No,
comes
I
to
agree though. I agree.
legendary, think like Oak just takes it. I don't have Oak, and I've used him in quite a few takeovers. I think he just edged it just because he's passive is fantastic against Torment.
Oh man.
So I think that's the only thing that lets him down on that aspects. But fantastic champion overall, really good stats as well for the defense and stuff like that. So very
And
very
he's been
happy.
around for a while as a Lego champion too. So
Yeah,
like he's
yeah, yeah.
still holding up in a lot of the meta shifts as more champions come in. Some get phased out. Cardiel, he still floats. He still
Yeah.
floats a little bit.
I
I
actually
think
still
it's pretty
use mine in Finite 10 and Brutal Hydra,
okay.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I actually still really, really use him. So yeah, fantastic champion overall. And yeah, I mean, I can't remember when I pulled him. I think I was disappointed, if I remember.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
because I think I opened like 250. I was looking for like a C or something. And
Okay. So I understand though because Sippy's also a really, really great champion too.
yeah, and I didn't
Makes sense. It makes
actually understand like how good he was. But
yeah.
when I built him up, he was in my main arena teams and stuff like that. Fantastic champion. Actually, he's got really good multipliers as well for damage with
Hmm.
Cecilia, right? So he can do a lot of damage. I actually use his finite build on that. Protection as well, non-piece protection, fantastic, and stuff like that. So I agree, fantastic champion. So,
Very versatile, yeah.
Mr. Solsen, you're
Yes,
number
sir.
one in the game.
Oh, people are gonna love and hate this one. I feel like this one, and I can tell you this right now. Plarium knows what they're doing. They know that people want this champion. They know that people love this champion. Ever since the release, you can tell because they put him in progressive after progressive after progressive, and even in some Prism events. Let's just say it like that, just to show you how much Plarium is aware how good this champion is, and it's good justification why. What I consider the king of boss killers nowadays. You used to be like, oh, the queen, like a Krizia, she could do everything. But then when you introduce 3 enemy max HP hits in one ability, it has to be our king resident dwarf. It's going to be the man himself. I'm going to say it properly, but you know the name that we like to give him. Newt. Newt is by far one of the best. When we say just throw your nuts at him, we're talking about this guy. Let's just be real for a second.
Yeah.
And it's self-explanatory. Like for Fire Knight Hard, his A1 is by far one of the better top-end freeze options because the Fire Knight in the hard version, not only do you need to get through his shield, especially at the higher stages, is very high in the quantity amounts of hits. It's a triple hitter, so it facilitates hitting down the amount of the shields down. But also when it's down, he's able to help continuously keep the boss's turn meter down with being able to freeze, and it has really good consistency. But to also follow up with that too, and various other miscellaneous content, if you're looking at, even in earlier stages and earlier iterations of Hydra, having this champion to not only bring AoE decrease attack as well as weaken, and then bring himself counterattack, which allows you a lot of flexibility. Maybe you can build him as a mischief tank. Maybe you can build him just to be as like your general damage dealing debuffer, which also helps with like mitigating damage in a sense. He does it, right? Which is really, really good. And then, of course, the cream of the crop, whenever you need to get somebody out of the Hydra head or, from being eaten, or if you're just trying to speed run a boss fight, if you're trying to get into those 10-second runs, those 20-second runs, those 30-second runs, or faster even, this guy can definitely do it, because if you build him up well enough and he has enough output and the team comp allows for it and it's set up properly, he's going to take 30% with him when he goes in. And if you can build it along with some other ones, or maybe even, I know there's some people who could do it, but they just throw all your nuts at them, 30%, 30%, 30%. After a while, you're going to hit over 100%, and that's it. It's over, right?
Yeah.
But this guy is a hitter, and he makes a lot of comps not only easier but faster, and that's the biggest thing. Especially since there's more and more content coming out in the game, I do feel a lot of people feel like there's a need to consolidate your time. You got to make your time valuable, and being able to speed up your runs is something that Gina does very well. And he has risen as my number one champion that I use. As a matter of fact, I did a whole new recent list as a request from the community to do a tour of all my dungeon teams, and this guy's almost everywhere. He's almost in almost all my teams, and it just makes sense because he's that good.
I agree. Best fusion in raid by far.
I would agree.
I think
from a PVE standpoint.
Yeah, PVE, yeah. Yeah, I mean, what can you say about him? I totally agree. Finite is very difficult without this dude. Especially we're talking about Finite 10, which I still don't know how it got nerfed. Like they nerfed all the dungeons, but not Finite 10. And
they wanted to make it hard for people, I think.
Yeah,
honestly.
Well, he's a cash cow, isn't he? That's why.
That's exactly what I think too. I do think that he is very desirable. So they're milking it.
Yeah. So how many ginger nuts do you have at G Nuts?
I don't know about any ginger nuts, but I will say for me right now, currently on my account, I have 3 G nuts. 2 of them, just one is just there.
And when I want to go to Dr. Spray, it's not natural to have 3 G nuts,
Obviously, my appointment's tomorrow. We'll figure it out.
Well, I need to go and have an appointment because I've still got one, so I need the look.
You know what? I did found the 3rd one on the floor somewhere. Maybe.
Okay. Well, I've never tried. I don't really try on 15x events, if I'm honest.
No, I feel you.
And I've never.
After hearing that 29 sacreds, I get it.
Yeah. I've never really bought prisms as well. I think prisms actually have like a really good utility factor. If you're like a guy with limited budget or large budget, I can kind of see them being really good compared to like sacreds and stuff like that. But yeah, fantastic champion overall. I don't actually use him as much now because I just mainly use him in Fire Night 10, and that's about it. But at one stage I was swapping his gear. I think I had like 4 different builds for him. I had him in Sand Devil, I had him in Phantom Shogun 24 at one stage, and then I had him in Fire Knight, and I had him in Hydra. He was everywhere, and he's still fantastic in the Hydra, like you mentioned. Brings that weaken, he brings that decrease attack. I think it's a bit underrated as well from that point of view. And I think, to be honest, he's just been power crept out of Hydra, which is why you probably don't see him a lot.
Yep. That's the only reason why. Yeah, and even then, if you're still progressing, he's still worth a nod at the very least. Yeah.
I recently did a takeover a couple of weeks ago. Got an account that never did Hydra to Nightmare because they had 2. That was it. So.
And that's all you need. 2 nuts and you go for it.
2 nuts and it had a Duchess as well. That was it. And I was surprised, because it was meant to be built for Brutal. I started building it for Nightmare secretly. I didn't want to promise anything, And then
we'll see where it goes, is what I say. We'll see what we'll do with it.
Yeah, and then I always try and bring down the expectations a little bit, and then
expectations so you can surprise them. I love it. I know exactly.
Entertainment, right, for streaming purposes as well, and stuff like that. So I always know a bit different in my head how it's going to work and stuff like that. But yeah, fantastic champion, and I couldn't agree anymore. I think he's still for P versus E content. If you had to pull a champion like Dutches or something like that, he's definitely up there as well, for
I
sure.
think so too.
And he can even do a fantastic job with wave clear, with
Yeah.
Fire Knight and stuff like that. His multipliers on his A2 is pretty good as well. I can't remember. I think they're strong or something.
They actually are solid, and you got to think too with area bonuses now. They add a lot of ability to like inject like ignore percent as well as like just beefing up his stats too. In addition to that, so it makes it easier to scale his stuff along the way. So he one that you can grow into very 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 comfortably.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's about it for this. We're gonna be doing my 5 on Soul Sensor channel. So I've got something a bit different from Soul Sensor. Mine's more from recent experiences, mainly with Curse City. So go ahead and check that out. We're gonna drop his channel down below. This guy is fantastic in Arena, and I know you guys, my community, enjoy Arena content. And stuff like that. Way more polite than me. So go and drop him a sub. He definitely deserves it. And yeah, I wish I could watch your streams more as well, but we stream at the same time, so it's like same birthday as well, right?
Oh
Same
my
birthday.
god!
I had
We
to
just
mention
found
it.
out about this, by the way.
Yeah,
Literally before we did this recording, and we were talking about it. I think you mentioned something about a birthday, and I was like,
yeah.
"When's yours?" And you know how Grim sounds. He's like, "Yo, mate, when's your birthday or something?" Like he said the way he did it. I was like, "October," and he's like, "Wait a minute, October what?" And then that's when it raised the alarm. It's like, "Wait, October the 23rd?" He's like, "No, that's mine." And then like he even got his wife to vouch for it because I was like, "You're lying to me. You got to be joking." And she came across the board and just said, "Yeah, October 23rd." I was like, "Okay, well, there you have it. We had a birthday apparently."
He's gonna ID check me later with the passports and stuff like that. So, is there anything else you want to add on to this video for the
Yeah.
community?
Thank you for everyone that decided to watch us today. I definitely appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hook our boy Grim up. And I'll just go ahead and give a little bit of a teaser. He's kind of making it sound like it's a little low key, but he's got some surprises, like some surprise picks that I think you guys are gonna be very interested. That may even be alternative options to some of the choices I picked. So look forward to it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, Soulsen, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the channel. I would love to hopefully have more collabs in the future as well.
Absolutely.
Maybe next time we'll do a bit of P versus P dive and have a look a bit of P versus P, especially the state of Arena, maybe the new content when it comes out, and see the state of that. What do you think about new content quickly before we end wrap up the video?
Okay. Exciting, concerning. One of the biggest questions I get is it going to be pay to win? And I think the inevitability about like the power that spending does for this game, it makes it inevitable that there is going to be some form of a gap versus a free to play versus a spender. And I think that has to be very transparent and vocalized. But with that being said, hopefully, if matchmaking and the experiences they've had with a lot of other content is any indicator that they learn from, and I do perceive Plarium to be a very logistical approach type of company, they'll try to incorporate a matchmaking system that is appropriate for us and may give all a enjoyable experience. But without enough information to tell, I think as always we should hold a cautious but optimistic approach with trying to see what this new environment is going to bring to us. I'm excited. We'll see.
Yeah. I think for myself as well, like I've been playing this game 5 years. I have no player and very well. I always look forward to updates, but I think as well, like you just mentioned, you have that little bit of sickness in that they're gonna mess it up so badly or overhype it and then underdeliver. And to be honest, like I don't know if you play Clash of Clans, but this is very similar to Siege in Clash of Clans. It was released about 2 years ago in Clash Clans, where you know the clan builds up like sieges and go on raids and limited to attacks and stuff like that. I've been doing a bit of nosy in the videos as well, and I can kind of point a few things out like bombs as well from HP champions and stuff like that. I think they're gonna come in to this new content and stuff like that. So I've been, you know, the bonuses. I was pausing the video, bro.
The bonus categories. I have screenshots of every single one I could get.
Oh, really?
So you're not the only one. Yeah, I got screenshots of every single one.
I've already started picking apart and started looking at champions that I've actually put on my 6-star list or empowerment list.
It's
And
funny you mentioned that because I have a literal Excel document that has like, okay, each bonus category is what I'm gonna call
yeah,
it. They have different levels to them, obviously. I have a lineup of every viable champion that fits inside that category, and then for each version of it, and then for each bonus. That's got to be a lot that's going to come from that one, and that's the exciting part because depending on how it's approached, can open some doors and it can also close some too, which we have to be cautious about. But who knows, right? There's a lot to explore there, and I think
yeah.
that part of it's always going to be enjoyable.
If they pull this off, this could be the best, probably the best update since, I don't know, like Doom Tower, I suppose. I'm
Yeah.
not a big fan of PvE myself, so like Doom Tower wasn't so exciting for me, and
Okay.
obviously like for me, I still have like a lot of bad feelings for like Faction Wars and Doom Tower because it was really
Really.
tough. Yeah, it was really tough, and the frustration, like Scarab and stuff like that, and stuff. So, and it's Curse City as well, like the nightmares
Hmm.
of like the Mortu Macabres, the Sifi, the Rodus, like these things,
Hmm.
like the new players, you know, that come in, yeah, they struggle against it, but it's much easier. And I mean, when it released Pro Confusions and stuff like that as well. But anyway, we go into different topic.
Yeah.
We don't want to drag this on any longer than we need to. So, yeah, let's go and hit up SoulSent on his channel. Make sure you check out his video for that as well. And SoulSent, it's been an absolute pleasure. Again, thank you for joining me on today's video and on my channel. And we'll see you on the next one. I've been Grim Reaper. Peace.